John Anik and Kenny Florian Podcast. John Anik and Kenny Florian.
I f***ing love them. I can't get enough of them.
Let's hear that Boston next.
Big jab there from Duffy, and Frank Mir is hurt now. Down goes Duffy, out cold. Frank Mir does it again. Rock'em sock'em robots here. Oh my goodness. Hyperbole.
There are a couple of absolutely self-involved bullshit artists.
Here are your hosts, John Anik and Kenny Florian.
Headshot, bang.
Dude, my posture is objectively terrible. Now, certainly my job doesn't necessarily lend itself to me sitting upright like a Dixon Ticonderoga #2 pencil can flow. But objectively, my posture is terrible, right? I was feeding my son the other day, and I happened to catch myself in the bathroom mirror. Look like a hunchback kid. I got to work on that.
It's probably the case for like 90% of human beings on Earth. You know, like just sitting down is one of the worst things you can do. I'm learning how to do that now, and it's actually fixing my back. So, like, if your head is offline in a certain direction, that could lead to like another 400, like not 400 pounds, 40 pounds of pressure on your spine. So you think about that. You know, it really takes its toll. It's not good for the human body at all.
Guess I'll stop banging on those assholes with those standing desks. So my twin brother's always banging on me for my posture. I don't know why I led this way. Great to have everybody with us live, by the way. It is episode 542 of the Anik Florian Podcast, presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. It is Monday, March 17th, 2025. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm not really wearing green. I got the Bill Walton t-shirt going on, but it's not as though I don't lift weights or do those, face pull things. I just think, 40 years of bad posture, there's really not a ton that you can do. I mean, I guess I can continue to work on my core and, do planks for a long time. But, yeah, I was just looking at myself before the show, and it's like, it's not the camera's fault. It's like, sit up, you fat fuck, So what are those wings coming out the back of your?
Yeah, look at this.
Wow.
Hair's getting out of control. It's a little unruly. I need to clean it up a little bit. I'm trying to grow it out a little bit, but try to hold on to my hair while I can, dude.
All right, a lot coming up today. Yet more on Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria. We will recap UFC Fight Night, Vettori versus Dolidze 2. Ray Longo scheduled from his cell phone, in about 10 minutes. Leon Edwards returns this weekend for the first time since relinquishing the title against Bilal Muhammad. UFC Fight Night, Edwards versus Brady. Predictions coming up on the back end of the program. Also, 5 days from now, watch party live on YouTube. Ken Flo agreed, right? This really all has to do with Kenny. If Kenny is available, usually we do one of these. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, right? But like Jason Anik, who runs this business, once Ken Flo committed, he's like, there it is. All systems go. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess the rest of us can't do one unless Kenny's available. But Kenny, matinee this Saturday, we're doing a live watch party. Is that accurate?
Let's go, dude. I'm excited. We haven't done one in a while. We need to we need to do one. So I'm excited.
And you're paying off the bet for last year's main event challenge during this watch party.
Oh gosh. Here we go. I probably owe you for like bad. 2 or 3 years. I probably owe you for like 2 or 3 years. What do I need to do? What do I need to do?
There are two things.
Okay.
So you can't wear a hat.
Okay. Okay.
And you have to wear a gi.
A gi? That's awesome. All right.
Unless you want to stick pebbles in a beer bottle as you were supposed to be punished and crack a beer bottle over your head, you can just wear pajamas and no hat. It's up to you.
I'll take the pajamas and no hat.
All right, you have time.
Yeah.
You have time.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're very comfortable in the gi. Have you ever fallen asleep in a gi?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, when I was in Brazil, I used to sleep at the gym in my gi until the next session. So yeah,
I bet. Yeah. All right, so a lot that we want to get into today. There's also some rumblings that Robert Whittaker is talking light heavyweight after his next fight. So time permitting, we'll get some thoughts from Ken Flo on that. But a lot to get into, so without further delay, Headlines is brought to you by Cuervo. Now's a good time to enjoy the tequila that invented tequila. I promise I will get to the Georgian wrecking machine, Roman Dolidze, but there are some rumblings and reports, and I don't know the extent to which this is true, but that Islam Makhachev maybe isn't thrilled with the idea of fighting Ilia Topuria in his next title defense. And I know you're sort of smirking. We've spent a lot of time discussing this very subject. You and I disagree as to who promotionally we would give the next championship opportunity to at 155 pounds. I think one thing you and I can both agree on is that at this point in time, given his decorated stature as long-reigning UFC lightweight champion, that maybe Islam Makhachev should have something to say about this, or no?
Well, yeah, there's that aspect, certainly. I think there's the other aspect of like, hey, Ilia Topuria has only had one fight at 155 pounds. Why does he get to kind of jump the line? Well, first of all, they kind of always done this when it comes to super fights. That's the whole point of a super fight. That's the whole point of a champion going up in weight class, is that they don't need to kind of beat a bunch of people and clear out the division. In my opinion, he has cleared out the 145-pound division. There's one guy there, really, Lopez. That's really the only guy. And for him, I think there's, more risk than reward in taking that fight and winning that fight. And for me, I think you have two of the most dominant and most skilled champions in the UFC, period. And if we have a shot at getting them to face each other, let's freaking do it.
Right. And I think a lot of your opinion is rooted in that last bit of what you said, and that is your thesis statement. And very rarely do you and I disagree, but I do disagree with a lot of what I heard on the front end of that, right? Because the notion that Ilia Topuria has somehow cleaned out the featherweight division when he was booked in January of 2022 to fight Movsar Evloev, who is 9-0 in the octagon, right? Forget Diego Lopez for a second. There's Movsar. I also think for Alexander Volkanovski, certainly when he steps up repeatedly for the UFC and fights on a calendar that maybe doesn't behoove him, there's a prize-fighting monetary component of that. But I think Volkanovski's stature as long-reigning champion might have afforded him a rematch. I actually thought Leon Edwards should have gotten an immediate rematch against Bilal Muhammad. And if Ilia Topuria is worthy of getting this championship opportunity at lightweight, then certainly Bilal's worthy at 85. The guy hasn't lost in half a decade, So I don't know. I think there's a lot to it. I agree with. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I'll say this. Yeah, that's a good point. But I think that there's a big difference between Alexander Volkanovski and what he's done at 145 pounds and what Max Holloway has done at 145 pounds. And guys like Movsar Evloev, I think that and Diego Lopez for that matter, those guys haven't achieved anything close to what Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski have done. Those are the two most dominant 145-pound champions of all time. Okay, you can put Jose Aldo in that conversation. He's past his prime. But they didn't really have anything for Topuria. Not much anyway. They both got finished early within 10 minutes. And that says a lot. Again, it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I think for me, that kind of trumps everything else. So, yeah.
No, I mean, you and I have both been positioned on different sides of this based upon what we have said repeatedly. We've spent a lot of time on this. And I think that one thing that I do want to clear up, we both agree that this is the right decision for Ilia Topuria. We disagree as to what his first fight should be. But I do understand, right, in terms of mixed martial arts and skill for skill, why for you, as somebody who has been there and done that and challenged for the UFC championship 3 times, why you want to see the highest skilled guys who haven't lost in forever compete for the undisputed UFC lightweight championship. And for Ken Flo and me, this is the deepest division, and really the ultimate prize is the UFC's undisputed lightweight championship. We'll see what they do, but I do think it's interesting to see the extent to which Islam Makhachev's opinion is going to be heard in all of this. And I know some people are saying, you're forgetting Charles Oliveira. No, we're not, right? The only guy I'm really forgetting is Arman Tsarukyan, because UFC CEO Dana White said that he was going to have to fight somebody else. So we can stop that down there if you want to spin it forward to Roman Dolidze. What did you think of the main event, Ken Flo? The judges agreed 49-46. All for the Georgian Roman Dolidze, who continues to move forward there at 85.
I think the judges had it right. I think I had it wrong in my assessment of the fight. I think Dolidze's ability to improve, over the last little while Vettori has been out, really was the difference. I think Dolidze improved upon his last performance against Vettori, learned some lessons there, came in shape, looked really sharp. I think, his face, it definitely got hit with some big shots, and it was a good fight. But I think Dolidze beating someone like Vettori, who is a tough guy to take out, I think says a lot for him. It's going to be a huge confidence builder for him, and now kind of gets him now into that upper echelon of 185 pounders.
Both of these guys really want it badly, right? I know I'm sort of a broken record when I talk about championship hunger and the athletes who just so badly want to be a UFC champion that they would show up for free. What did you make of Marvin Vettori and defeated? It had been a long time. The American Top Team Alliance, I think, heretofore moving forward is going to continue to pay dividends. But what did you think of Vettori in the loss?
You know, listen, he's tough. He's a guy who's not going to go away easily. I think that he was short a little bit on his traits of athleticism a little bit compared to someone like, let's say, Dolidze. He just looked a little slow to me. But, you know, I think that when it comes to putting it all together, I think he has a solid, you know, mixed martial arts kind of skill set. But I think that for Dolidze, he was a little bit too big, a little bit too fast, a little bit too powerful. And I thought just put it together a little bit better than Vettori here.
Yeah, it's exciting to think about just how far Roman Dolidze with Eric Nixick and Merab Dvalishvili, by the way, in his corner as well, could take this thing. You know, Marvin Vettori's got a lot of MMA miles on the odometer, and I think this break was probably a good thing in totality. He's still in his early, not yet mid-30s, but the story is Roman Dolidze, and you know, timing really is everything, I think, in life. And he's calling out the likes of Israel Adesanya. And those fights are within reach now, Kenny. But sometimes it's just about the calendar. I know he injected the name Robert Whittaker into the equation as well. What are your thoughts on Dolidze, how far he can take it, and any thoughts on who you'd like to see him share the octagon with next?
You know, I'm not quite sure he's a guy who's going to win the belt, but he can certainly be there amongst the top in that division. I think that he is showing improvements. I think if he continues to show those improvements, he can challenge guys. And I think he would be a legitimate threat even to a guy like Israel Adesanya, who has been there and done that. But comparing him to guys like Dricus du Plessis and, of course, Khamzat Chimaev, I think that's where he'll run into some trouble, where those guys are just a notch above when it comes to either putting together a better package of mixed martial arts skills or maybe not being up to par when it comes to maybe the grappling, especially like the takedown skills. But Dolidze is improving. He's getting better. He's dangerous, and he's got enough power, John, where if he cracks a shot on you, he could absolutely hurt you. But, you know, I think guys like the level of Imavov and those guys, you know, that might be right around that level where he'll be.
Not a lot of people calling out Nassourdine Imavov. Actually, Roman Dolidze said the fight he's always wanted is Khamzat Chimaev, but he respects where Khamzat is at relative to the division and believes that he should and will fight for the belt next. All right, always fighting for the championship. Let's get to the star of the program. It's the Ray Longo Minute.
It's now time for the Ray Longo Minute.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest. That's what I want.
The Ray Longo Minute. Starring Ray Longo. The John Anik and Kenny Florian Podcast.
Look at him! Look at the motherfucker! That's what I'm talking.
Also joining us in the Ray Longo Minute today, Jason
Jason's here. Unbelievable. Now it's a party.
Raymond, Kenneth, Jonathan, gentlemen. Love you guys.
It's happening.
Unreal.
Oh, Ray, how we doing?
Oh, well, you know what happened? I went to, first off, shout out to TJ DeSantis. I know you all know who he is, but man, he invited me to the Callum Walsh fight at the Garden. It was what a great time. I took, it was Iaquinta, Miail, and the girls went. Everybody had a great time. So shout out to TJ. Tickets were fantastic. Got to catch up with a couple of people I haven't seen in a while.
Good.
And got home to my neighbor's tree falling and knocking out everybody's electricity. They got that on at 5:30 in the morning, and then the Wi-Fi still out, so I'm on my phone.
Well, it sounds great. That's a lot to digest there.
Well, John, real quick, Callum Walsh, first round knockout, MSG. That's Dana White's guy. And TJ DeSantis, don't bury the lead, down 55 pounds, feeling good, looking good.
Wow, he looked great.
That's awesome.
TJ actually threw a side kick when he came over to see us. He looked unbelievable.
I'm actually enjoying this on your phone. You sound great, but you start the Ray Longo Minute today and you say before we get started. And so here I'm thinking, Ken Flo flies all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina to your gym. No, you got to cut me off or are you going to let me finish?
Hey, listen, what are you?
You're going to cut me off? You're going to let me finish. Oh, he's going to cut me off.
Are you doing an Ariel Helwani? You're starting trouble with me and my friend Kenny? I think Kenny's my best friend now, not yours. How's that?
Boom.
Yeah, there you go. You're out.
I'm still the president of Kenny Florian's fan club. I don't really care. I'm not looking to make friends. I'm 46, right?
Oh, wait, first off, so my second order of business was to thank Ken Flo for a fantastic seminar. Really well thought out. The guy he can explain things. That's why he's great at breaking down the fights, because he's got that type of mind. So very detail oriented. Everybody loved it. He tightened up a lot of stuff, and the self-defense stuff, Kenny, like I told you, I thought was really well thought out.
Thank you, man. I
Really,
appreciate
really
that.
well
It was awesome to finally go to your gym, Ray. John, all the guys there are just really cool guys, hardworking, tough guys. And that all trickles from the top down. There's a reason why Ray is who he is, and you could see it. All of his guys fall in line in the exact same manner. Steve Lee, shout out to Steve Lee for organizing everything and helping me out with all that stuff. And Ray, thank you so much for having me, man. It was a blast.
And really, we got to do it again. It really was just good to sit and talk with Kenny. I really don't get a chance to talk. We don't really get a chance. We bullshit.
I know.
We're always doing this, but he's just a well thought out guy all around. But how was that banh mi though, Kenny? Come on, man.
It was good. Ray took me to a Vietnamese joint. It was fire, dude. It was good.
I was just going to ask if you guys broke bread together. That's very exciting to hear. And for people who don't know what we are talking about, Ken Flo did a seminar at Longo's gym this weekend, and that is very exciting. And yeah, Steve Lee is my favorite too, but can we get any fucking content from this seminar or no?
I know.
Are you having FOMO right now?
No, I'm not. No, I just want to see some content. Oh, being up there with you guys?
Yeah.
Am I fear of missing out? No, I guess I just would have liked to have seen some content. I might have repurposed that to my audience, but no, I didn't see that.
No, but I was going to say, Ray, I don't know how many guys you have. Come do seminars. I don't know how often it happens, but I was actually thinking about it yesterday. Florian must be so prepared, right? And certain guys probably show up, teach a little grappling, collect a little whatever. I'm sure, Kenny, not only are you prepared in general, but I'm sure you prepared specifically for this. So I'm sure they got a ton out of it. But yeah, I wouldn't mind a little clip.
Yeah. Well, when you're passing out gems, you got to hold that back.
Oh, you guys trying to charge us now? We need
you got to pay to play, buddy. You got to pay to play. Think Ken Flo's cheap with that knowledge?
I understand.
Ray had a videographer there. You had a videographer there. You had people taking video and pictures and stuff. Yeah, it probably takes time, man.
Oh, I'm just being a dick,
Yeah.
I have a few other things I could say as well. Hey, Kenny, who introduced you at the gym? Was it Ray himself?
Mr. Ray Longo.
Was he holding a piece of paper or a phone, or did he just rip?
Yes, he ripped. He just ripped off the top of the head.
All right.
Yeah. What are you going to say? What are you going to do?
What was I going to say? Well, no, somebody at Team Longo asked me to write a fucking intro for Kenny to walk out.
I was going to say, but you don't know if I embellished that intro or not, do you?
That's right.
Kenny, did anyone drop a Dover, Massachusetts on you?
Yes,
he did, absolutely.
That definitely did. That I definitely did.
Yeah.
The pride of Dover. The pride of Dover, Massachusetts.
All right. So part of the reason Jay is here, Ray, is that there are rumblings that your, GFL stipend is so robust that maybe we should consider lowering your rate for that. Oh, that was not meant for the air. Let's talk about Roman Dolidze, Ray.
Well, first off, I'm underpaid, but go ahead. Anything.
All right, I get always here.
Even in that league, who's overpaying everybody, I'm underpaid.
Okay. So, other than I don't know if you want to talk Callum Walsh, Roman Dolidze.
No. Dolidze. Let's go right to Dolidze.
Let's go. Mixed martial arts.
He had a great corner. Marab Davalishvili.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Roman Dolidze? I mean, I love this middleweight division. I just think timing is everything, and the timing for this kid's gonna, shouldn't say kid, but it's going to be tough. He's going to have to win 2 or 3 more fights to get a championship fight.
I think with Roman, I was listening to Kenny, but Roman, I think it's a race against the clock. And, look, not the most exciting fight. It was kind of a replay of the first fight, just going the other way, I think. But I did see some improvements, but he did get buckled in that fight. I don't think, Marvin did a good job following up. But I think he's super talented. He's got his work cut out for him, though, for sure. And I think Kenny kind of said, I think there's some good fights. I think the Israel call out for where everything's at right now is a perfect call out.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some guys that I think I think the train left the station on. But, you never can count those guys out. He's definitely a big, strong, tough kid, and let's see what happens. But that was a great way to start, keep his run going or, whatever, and look to the future.
So a few other things on this UFC Fight Night card, if I could. So, and I guess I'd like to start with Kenny, right? By the way, Jay, I don't know if you were with us earlier, Ken Flo. We're doing a watch party. Ray's going to be with athletes, I think, at Mohegan Sun and unable to join us, but Kenny's going to be wearing a gi for the entire watch party.
Yeah, I'm excited, more excited to see the lettuce flow without the lid up top.
Yeah.
See, I think Kenny should wear a gi only if you two guys wear your white belts in your gi.
No, he's actually paying off a punishment, so I'm not going to do anything of the sort. I'm going to be, I'll have an IV of Hendrick's gin, but I'm not going to be doing anything of the sort. So Damon Blackshear, right, seems to be such a submission threat, Kenny. He gets it done by Kimura here against Cody Gibson, right? That I just feel like for Gibson, right, who got his boxing going a little bit early on, right? But I don't know. Sometimes I just want you to just take these questions as if I'm an MMA fan asking them, but like, don't you got to be more mindful of this Blackshear cat and minimize the amount of submission attempts he actually gets and try to maybe take a path of least resistance approach, or is Blackshear just deserve credit for getting this fight to his world?
Yeah, listen, I think that Cody Gibson got off to a great start. I think his intention was to try to utilize his boxing a little bit more and try to surprise Damon Blackshear, but he was successful in that. I think that once things started to settle in and Cody Gibson got back to his default mode, which I like to say because he is a wrestler, I think he forgot about those submission skills of Blackshear a little bit. Was getting caught in some like front chokes and different things like that, and then ultimately fell victim to that Kimura, which was a thing of beauty. Just clean, good fundamentals there from Damon Blackshear, and Cody Gibson got off to a good start, but I think it just kind of got lost in a lot of those exchanges a little bit.
Yeah. Ray, I kind of feel like it was a forgettable night in totality, despite a lot of standout performers and 4 performance bonuses, right? Got to be the first time in UFC history you get 2 Kimura finishes from Damon Blackshear and Brenjison Ribeiro on the main card, and neither of them get a bonus,
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think it's because of what you said at the beginning. It was kind of a forgettable night. Let me just give you my take first. I had my brother's 70th birthday party. Shout out to my brother, Paul Longo.
Paul,
great guy.
I don't even know. I don't know that Paul Longo has gotten a singular mention in the first 541 episodes of the show.
Well, we put a lot of emphasis on the number 70, so he's getting his shout out now. But great time. So I came back home that night and tried to watch the fights. And I got to tell you, I was struggling, man. There was nothing really grabbing me. So,
yeah,
I don't even know if I could comment on most of these fights because I was going backwards. I go, let me look for something that I think will be an exciting fight. And I think the girls look like they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, yep. Priscilla Cachoeira, Carly Judice getting bonuses for their knockouts to begin the night. Sam Page Hughes getting the General Saif Saud, his 100th win for Fortis MMA. Carlos Vera.
Carlos Vera, that you just took the name out of my mouth. Carlos Vera getting the biggest underdog win of the night. Carlos is a guy that I've trained with over at Ryan Hall's place, 50-50 in Falls Church, Virginia. Hard-working kid. He's been at it for a while. Comes from a really good striking background. Has been working really hard on his jiu-jitsu. Got that kick, man, and then went right into that rear naked choke. That was a thing of beauty, man. And the way he set it up. But yeah, I mean, plus 1,200, John, plus 1,200. And I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, but I think our guy Brian Petrie may have put a little nugget on Carlos Vera. Yeah,
that's big. That looked like it had Wonder Boy written all over it.
Yeah, see that? That setup was exactly right. Yeah.
I mean, he caught that guy. He wasn't even near him with that kick. It was pretty cool. Yeah, that
awesome.
That looked like Wonder Boy. I think Wonder Boy goes the other way, but
right.
That's
a great call, Ray.
And I'm sure Ryan. I know Ryan was up there with Wonder Boy. I could see Ryan.
Yes.
Pass it on. And another great guy, Kenny. I saw him recently. I like watching him in the corners. He's stressing, man. I think he realizes what it's like to be a corner man now.
It's tough.
I think he had another underdog when we were in Philly, and the guy pulled it out at like the last minute. He was sweating. He got back there. He felt it. Those things kill you, man. So
it does.
Shout Shout out to Ryan Hall too.
And shout out to Kevin Vallejos.
Yeah.
As well for the big knockout. So, all right. Well, because, we don't necessarily, I have a lot of things that I would like to get to. We do have Dr. June Chin from Leafwell coming up in about 17 minutes. A lot of interesting stuff as it pertains to the fight game and plant-based medicine and things of that nature. It is actually, Jay, what month is it? It is Brain Injury Awareness. All right. Yeah. So, all right, Ray. So I have a few other things to get to. We do have some would you rathers as well for you on the back end, but we're not going to.
Are we going to have fun, or is this all serious?
Yeah, no. So here's the deal, right?
It's so much fun.
Okay. So
we're going to lose
Kenny and I have spent a lot of time talking about what they are going to do with Islam Makhachev and when he might defend the lightweight championship against whom. Jay, what is the rumblings that you're hearing about June 7th? About rumblings? What could be, I think Newark, New Jersey. There might be some rumors of reports, maybe Juliana Pena, Kayla Harrison. And wasn't there another championship fight potentially on June 7th? Oh, Ray might know about that, right? Marab Shano. Anyway,
I think
for Islam Makhachev.
June 6th, I think, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Oh, there you go. Breaking news. Ray Longo, Marab Dwalsh defending his championship in Newark, New Jersey. On
you're thinking of the GFL. They do their fights on Sunday. You got to get your rest.
Yeah, exactly.
I am not thinking about the GFL. I am fucking not. All right, Ray and Jay. Kenny and I have exhausted this, but I find this to be maybe the most fascinating conversation in mixed martial arts right now. Ray, let me start with this question. For Islam Makhachev, having thrice, if not 4 times, defended his lightweight championship, should he have any say as to whether or not he defends now against Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, or Ilia Topuria?
Oh, that's a good question. Should he have any say? I mean, look, I think we kind of know nobody has any say in anything, but I think
that's not true.
No, you don't think so?
No, because I feel like, and I don't know if Kenny and Jay agree with this, if you're a champion like Izzy did, right, you go out there and you lay the foundation for your next title defense. Duplessis has done this, I do believe that if Islam Makhachev, and again, when there's an obvious guy, as there was Arman Tsarukyan, I don't know. I just feel like you can lay a foundation. If Islam all of a sudden starts barking about Gaethje.
Well, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think it's too late now. He's got to defend his title, and he should have been doing that, his last fight when he got the microphone, no?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little tricky because he beat Moicano, and then Arman Tsarukyan, in theory, would be next. Islam, in the moment, didn't know that Dana was going to be so dismissive of Arman 10 minutes later.
Right. Well, I think who did it is Ilia Topuria. He's been barking for this fight for a long time, so he did it. He did exactly what you said. He laid the foundation, and I think that's why you're going to see that fight come to fruition. Did they announce that the other day or no?
No,
for the
Jay.
International Fight Week, or that was bullshit?
No, Jay. Yes or no? Real quick. Do you think Islam Makhachev should have any say in who he fights next?
I mean, I think maybe date and venue, perhaps. But in terms of the opponent, no. If you ask the real ones, like Merab didn't want to fight when he did. And maybe Umar was a tougher opponent. But these guys should sort of take whoever's next, right? Ask Aljo if he wanted to defend against O'Malley at that.
Right. All right.
So certain guys do have say, right? Who's Michael Chandler friends with?
All right. Right.
John Jones has a say.
Yeah.
Right. He might be the only guy that he has it. He's the only guy that has a say, I think.
Yeah.
So, Ray, if you were the UFC, who would you have Islam Makhachev defend his title against next? Let's take Arman Tsarukyan out of the equation unless Dana were to do a 360 in reverse course. So it's going to be between Justin Gaethje, Ilia Topuria, and Charles Oliveira, to my knowledge. Who would, in the Longo Fighting Championships, the LFC, get the title shot?
100% for me, it's Ilia Topuria.
Yeah, so you and Kenny are aligned. Jay, do you agree with these guys?
Well, I do agree with that. And if you talk about sort of running through the division, the bottom line is what he did against those top two, however you want to use words to describe that I would say does punch that ticket there. I also think I still would be surprised if he relinquishes the belt at 145 to not fight for it at 155. I think you disagree with me on that, John. You think, I know you're on mute, but you think maybe he would take a fight against Charlie Olives? No?
Because people have heard enough of me. No, I think you guys are all aligned. Ken Flo, if you want to get in here.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say is this, and there's an argument as to whether the UFC wants this or not. I think they do. But what am I talking about? The UFC wants stars. The UFC wants stars. And if you make a fight between Makhachev and Topuria, the winner of that fight is not going to be a star. They're going to be a superstar. And you're going to have a definitive, in my opinion, pound for pound best out of those two. And I think if you're trying to create this guy that everybody wants to see and that's going to sell big time pay-per-views in a time where perhaps the UFC doesn't have as many, then that would be the fight to make, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, strike while the iron's hot. Yeah. So that's how I see it. So not only do I think it's a great fight for the fans to see, and it just, if you're a nerd MMA fan, that's the one, but I also think it's a big moneymaker for either of those guys who win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, I think, go ahead, Ray.
No, and I think, Topuria has proven that he's got the striking power to deal with Islam. And they say his wrestling and jiu-jitsu is off the hook. So to me, it's just intriguing to see. Mm-hmm. I think it's a really great test for both guys that we have to put it to bed. I think they both earn the right to have this fight go on.
I think Poatan is a superstar because of his humility and because of how active he is, right? It's like Topuria. It's like, when did I see him fight last, right? I think he can be a star. I'm not sure how much more of a star Islam Makhachev can be, even with a win over Ilia Topuria. Do I think it vaults him to a different level of mixed martial artist? Most certainly. But in terms of getting to that superstar level, there's a lot of narrative out there about a lack of stars in the sport. I think some of that falls on the promotion in terms of building these guys up. Are we talking about all these guys' fight streaks? There was an Instagram post talking about their champions are 53-0-1 in their last however much. I know I could get on the Muhammad train all night, but it's like, how about talking about some of these undefeated fighters that are impossible to defeat? It
really is interesting. It's something like the male champions right now, Ray, 53-0-1, and we should be celebrating these guys as some of the greatest of all time.
And the other thing too is that Islam, look, he's a great fighter. He's probably obviously goes down as one of the greatest fighters, but to me, he doesn't have near the name power with Khabib. And I think Khabib had Conor to really elevate him into, they had rivalries and he was running through people pretty dominantly. I don't think he's got the star power that Khabib has. I don't think he holds it, even though his resume is probably better. But I don't think there's something like Khabib had something to him. He did have the X factor, even when he was talking. He still does. He commands a lot of respect when he walks through the room. His presence when he's around. I'm not feeling that with Islam. Islam's more of a quieter guy, and I think he just does his job. He's more of a worker bee, where Khabib, just between his father and him, they just had a presence about him that I think is going to be hard to overcome.
I think Khabib definitely has more charisma. I definitely think Khabib has more charisma, but I also think there's a lot of truth to what you said, that Conor McGregor made Khabib in a lot of ways. Yeah, and I think that Topuria in some ways could do that same thing potentially for Makhachev. Topuria knows how to talk trash. He knows how to build up a fight. Either he wins and becomes a superstar, legit, or he helps build up Makhachev a little bit. I do agree with Jason. I think there's some truth to what Jason's saying, that, hey, maybe he doesn't have that extra little oomph, that extra star quality, but who knows? I think that's a fight that's worth a try for the UFC.
No, without a doubt. Every look, Frazier made Ali, Duran and Leonard, all those. You need that guy to really elevate. You need the villain, and Khabib had that, and he did great with it. You know what I mean? So I think Islam needs a rivalry with somebody. And
I'm glad we had this conversation, because now I have more of an appetite for this, and I'm really sort of leaning into what Kenny was saying in terms of maybe what Topuria might be able to do to help build Islam Makhachev in a way that a Charles Oliveira rematch or a fight with Arman Sarukian or even Justin Gaethje maybe would not. I mean, I have no doubt that fan appetite would be robust for a fight between Islam Makhachev and Justin Gaethje. But yes, I think Ilia Topuria could have that sort of impact on Islam, but maybe I'm too close to it. I'll just say in closing on Islam, to me, he doesn't have that one name Khabib. He doesn't have the Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov angle, even though he does, right? I mean, he was the star pupil of Abdulmanap, but what he does have is personality. and any number of different ways to finish you that I think really create a highlight reel. Like part of the reason Alex Pereira and Ilia Topuria are big stars, and Sean O'Malley too, is because they knock people clean out. But Islam can talk in multiple languages. I mean, you've seen his dry wit cutting down DC and saying, come to Dagestan for 3 years. Like, he does have it. So,
yeah, but John, he has it, but you can't tell me those conversations are better than when Khabib is with DC. That was a sitcom in the making. That's what I'm saying. Like, and I'll tell you what it is. It's almost like Merab and Aljo. I think Islam really respects Khabib, and I don't think he wants to go that extra step and maybe bypass him. And you know what I mean? I think they're a respectful bunch of guys, and you could see, look, Merab. If you look at Merab, he was so quiet when Aljo was the champ. The second he wasn't the champ, that guy went berserk. He held back. He held back because he had respect for Aljo. And I think we're seeing similar things with Islam. He's doing his job. He's beating everybody. But I don't think he wants, if you started saying Islam's better than Khabib, and he wouldn't even want that, I don't think. I think he understands where his place is. They're great friends. They're tight and they grew up, but I think that's what you're seeing. I think it's out of respect for Khabib that he kind of lays back. But as far as the DC thing, nothing's better than Khabib in DC to me. I think that is phenomenal. That's a phenomenal reality show.
And the reality of the situation is that we don't get through an Islam Makhachev walkout without injecting the name Khabib Nurmagomedov into it, and rightfully so. And Islam would, of course, want that, And honestly, it all starts with Abdulmanap, who eventually is going to be in the UFC Hall of Fame. All right, Ray, a few other things before we let you fly. So what do you got going on, by the way, this weekend? Foxwoods is your destination, yeah?
Man, we got a big weekend. We have 4 guys fighting in 2 different locations. We got Austin Halleck, young kid making his pro debut. Ken, you didn't get to meet him. He's literally phenomenal. Great family, great kid. Just wish nothing but the best. Super young, probably 24, 25. I'm really excited for where he's going. And then we have the axe murderer, Levan Kovalev. This is going to be his, I think, 5th fight. I expect really big things from him. I'm going to say, if I can't get this guy in the top 5 of the UFC in 3 years, I suck, because I think he's that good, and he's young.
He's good. I got a chance to watch him spar. It was fun.
Yeah, he's good.
Tough kid.
And that was the last sparring, so kind of respectful. It's funny, John, as I'm watching the sparring, my heart is beating a mile a minute, and I'm going, this guy's going to hurt somebody. Now it's going to be like what we saw with the Kevin Lee. Kenny's going to see it firsthand. We always talk about what happens in the gym, and I'm just I'm watching the clock. I go, let's just get out of this last sparring, get to the fight.
It was getting spicy. It was getting a little spicy.
Yeah, no, it was I don't even want to say anything, but the kid's really good. And Kenny, I'll say you got to see 25% of that kid. So I'm excited for him. And also we have Dylan Montello fight, one of my favorites.
Dylan.
And Aljo's brother. Dylan's a great guy, right? He talked to you about the Bitcoin.
Awesome kid.
Very cerebral guy, too. Good, really loyal, good dude, helps everybody out in the gym. Just another great guy. And we got Aljo's brother, Kel Sterling, fighting, too. So we got
What's his first name?
At Foxwoods. One guy, Austin's fighting in Queens, and it's going to be a good weekend. I'm actually psyched. It brings back some good old days where you got some young guys that are going to make some waves, and it's exciting.
Yeah, this is very exciting. What's Aljo's brother's first name? Kelvin Sterling. Let's go, Kel.
Right?
Kel.
Let's go, Team Longo. Get
Family Funk. Let's go.
He's better known as what the hell Kel in the gym.
So we're out here stealing Vanderlei Silva's nickname. Is that what we're doing?
Oh, with the axe murderer?
Yeah. Or is that just what you call him?
No, that's what he's a mass murderer. I don't know what he's going to do. But
imagine, though, sparring. You got former 3-time UFC title challenger Ken Flo with those wingtips coming out the back of his fucking hat watching you spar. All right, Ray. We have 3 minutes left with you. I'm using all 180 seconds. I'm going to start with Leon Edwards and Sean Brady this weekend. They are fighting. I feel like Leon Edwards should have been afforded an immediate rematch against Bilal Muhammad. The promotion went in another direction. Do you think Leon Edwards is favored to beat Sean Brady, on DraftKings Sportsbook this weekend? Yes or no?
I think he is favored.
He is not.
He's not favored. Wow.
Correct.
Good for Sean Brady.
So who do you like in the fight, Raymond?
Well, look, I'm never going to go against anybody from the East Coast, so I'm going.
Oh,
with
come
Sean
on,
Brady.
man.
But I tell you what, man, I love Leon. What does that mean? Oh, come on.
Well,
You
I
know
mean,
what loyalty
I
is?
root against New York. You can root against Philadelphia. You don't always, I mean, nice guys finish last.
No, I like Sean. Look, first off, absolutely love Leon Thomas and his team. So this is
Leon
more,
Thomas. Who's Leon Thomas?
Leon Edwards. Stop
Okay.
it. Jesus. I tell
Sorry,
you.
I'm sorry. I'm just having
you.
fun
I tell
on a
you,
Monday.
Holy crow, this guy. Kenny.
It's a holiday.
He's ruthless, dude.
But anyway, no. I like Sean Brady. I like his team. I like all those guys. So I would never root against them. I do love Leon Edwards and his team. So for this one, let the best man win.
Okay.
They're both super camps and super nice guys. So best guy wins.
All right, it's a really fantastic card in London. It is coming up in the middle of the day. We are doing a watch party. Potentially, you could at least pop on for 5 minutes from your cell phone from Foxwoods if your schedule allows.
Yes.
To what extent are you excited about Jan Blachowicz and Carlos Ulberg in the co-main event, and do you have a prediction on that?
I got to tell you, I'm excited for that fight.
Yeah, me too.
I want to see what Ulberg could do. I think this is going to be Ulberg's biggest test by far, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what I think. Jan's getting old, man. But who's favored in that fight?
Jan Blachowicz is the plus 200 underdog. Carlos Ulberg is minus 245. Blachowicz just turned 42. Yeah, a lot younger than everybody in this room.
Shit, man. That's what he's fighting. But
yeah, 42 is a big number.
I still think because of the styles, it's not a bad fight for Jan.
Jan's a beast.
He is
Future
a
Hall of
beast.
Famer.
When did Glover win the belt? 42?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, I think that those odds, that's not a bad bet, I don't think.
All right,
I think there's a big step up for Ulberg. I know, but I like Ulberg too. He looks good. But...
Ray, 60 seconds left.
Yeah.
Would you rather wear jeans one size too small or shoes 2 sizes too big?
Oh, fuck it. I'd rather wear shoes 2 sizes too big.
I always think about those shoes. I always think about your sneakers that you had to put on. You have those clown shoes and you're walking down. You're walking down from the octagon and almost tripped.
Oh,
you were talking about that.
Oh, remember, I had
right.
to put the size 13s on. It was horrible. You don't want to see my fat ass stuffed into a size lower jeans thing, but that would be horrible.
You're asking for it, though, with the replacement hip. And this shoe size is too big. And the last question. Ray Longo, would you rather have to kiss every person you meet? Just a peck on the lips, kiss every person you meet on the lips, or never kiss your partner again?
Wait, what was that one?
Oh, you need a repeat? Would you rather have to kiss every person you meet or never kiss your partner again?
Oh,
I think I actually kiss every person I meet, so I'll go with that.
Go. See, you can tell Ray Longo's
that almost reminds me of the joke, Jason, like where the guy goes, you have 2 options. Option 1 is you never see your wife. Option 1. Option 2. I thought that's where you were going. Yeah, that was something like that. Yeah, option A, you never get to see
Hey, we can let you go. I mean, I could say, would you rather your partner had a job that was life-threatening or have your partner have a job that took up a lot of their time? I mean, we got to go, huh?
No. I want a job that takes up every second of the time. How's that? Take it easy, guys. I'm out of here. Goodbye.
Oh, my God. Leon Thomas. All right, time for the green corner. Dr. June Chin is like, what did I sign up for? Now with us for the green corner, which I believe is monthly here on the Anik Florian Podcast, the CMO of Leafwell, and so much more, Dr. June Chin. Dr. Chin, it's good to see you today. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me again.
Oh, it's our pleasure. I guess it's a good day to do the green corner. It's St. Patrick's Day. I have a little green flare, I guess, in the back of the shot. So a lot of your life is devoted to education, and we just were talking to Ray Longo. It is Brain Injury Awareness Month. So I've been concussed twice. So I guess this is a little bit selfish that I'm leading in this direction. But what exactly happens when someone suffers a concussion? I know there are degrees to it, but what does it cause when, at least in my mind, I felt like my brain hit the other side of my head?
Ouch. Yeah. So a concussion is a type of mild traumatic brain injury, and traumatic brain injury, short as TBI. And that occurs when there's sudden impact, like a jolt or blow to the head. And that can disrupt your normal brain function. Now, it's often considered mild. It can lead to significant neurological and psychological consequences. So there's a range of symptoms. You might have experienced a little confusion, memory issues, mood swings. You might swing from one pendulum to another, happy, sad, anxious, sleep disturbances, even long-term conditions like depression and PTSD can happen too.
So I don't remember if I was prescribed drugs after. I was hospitalized with 2 concussions. Both happened playing basketball. I don't remember being prescribed drugs. I can certainly say in college, I might have used cannabis as part of the recovery process, but we're talking 25 years ago. So what is usually done when, I know maybe 6 weeks and you monitor people in the middle of the night, but what exactly is done either prescription wise or otherwise when someone suffers a concussion?
So it really depends on how bad the concussion is. If it's mild, they might say, okay, go home with some Tylenol or ibuprofen or Advil for your mild headache. If you have insomnia or sleep disruption, they might prescribe a sleep aid like an Ambien. If it's really bad and you're complaining about mood swings, they might recommend, or if it's multiple concussions, they might recommend an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety medication like a Xanax or a Klonopin, even some sort of Valium or benzodiazepine.
And Doc, in regards to cannabis, because I've heard some interesting things coming out as far as like how it can help, brain injuries or concussions and things like that. What kind of information can you give us on like what fighters or football players can do in regards to using cannabis to help whatever injury you may have?
Well, research shows that medical cannabis can help concussions and TBIs as a neuroprotectant. So what that means is it helps reduce that brain inflammation and help promote healing. It can also be used as a pain relief. So cannabis is effective for headaches and chronic pain without the addictive potential of opioids. Also mood stabilization, maybe help with anxiety, depression, or PTSD-like symptoms. And also it helps you improve your sleep. So it can help you regulate your sleep cycle that's disrupted by brain injury.
Now, is that how it's waking things up in the brain? And like what's the connection there?
I wouldn't call it waking things up in the brain, but more of a reducing the inflammation. So think of your brain as this super ripe heirloom tomato. So when you have a concussion or you've been, there's a blow to the head, your brain is inflamed. That tomato is very, very, very tender, and it's hitting against the skull. So the cannabis medicine will help reduce that inflammation, promote healing.
So Leafwell is the leading medical cannabis cards. I mean, talk to us a little bit just generally for those viewers that haven't seen Leafwell before on the Anik Florian podcast. What's Leafwell all about? Because the more I learn, the more I like.
Leafwell is the largest leading virtual integrative cannabis platform in the entire country. So we operate in 38 states. We have over 100 health providers in 30 different specialties, from neurologists to oncologists to rheumatologists, to help patients integrate medical cannabis safely into their health and wellness.
And just shifting back to the brain injury awareness stuff, if I had to guess, and I know nothing, but I'm just sitting here thinking about athletes that are concussed, right? Even like a young girl in my daughter's soccer, one of her opponents was concussed and she was in this protocol where she couldn't play for several days. I assume any type of cannabis to someone of that age is obvious. I mean, is that even a possibility?
I have teenagers as well, and they play squash, they play soccer, they're on track, they get injured. I don't recommend cannabis medicine for developing brains. You have to think about the pros versus cons. Are they If they do decide to use cannabinoid medicine, CBD is great because CBD doesn't have THC, and THC is what causes that high, that euphoria, those cognitive changes. But you really want to make sure the brain is fully developed so you have executive function. So for teenagers, for younger kids, I don't recommend that.
So it's pronounced cannabinoid, huh?
Cannabinoids are the molecules in the cannabis plant.
Yeah.
And there are hundreds.
I've been pronouncing it cannabinoid for 25 years.
So
tomato, it's okay.
Oh, it is.
So, former NFL player, Super Bowl champion Marvin Washington, who's very involved with Leafwell. I wish he was here so I could ask him this, but I'm going to ask you. How likely is it that any player in the NFL right now that received a concussion last season, any of them were, offline, referred to someone who might have taken them down this road to cannabis to help them recover?
I think when you talk to, your own colleagues or even a more progressive integrative MD, a physician, they might recommend cannabinoid medicine as well as, dietary supplements, et cetera. Well, it's interesting because the NFL awarded a $1 million grant to study cannabinoids in brain injuries. So there's interest there. And then you have the MLB. They removed cannabis from its banned substance list.
Yeah. About time, MLB. Dr. June Chin with us live on the Anik Florian Podcast. You can find her on Instagram at Dr. June Chin. Also, you can follow the company at Leafwell_official. So I'm not trying to put you on the spot here. I didn't necessarily intend to bring this to the conversation today, but there is a former UFC fighter named BJ Penn. He is one of the greatest mixed martial arts athletes of all time. I consider him to be the greatest lightweight of all time. Kenny fought him for the UFC lightweight championship in 2011. He got Ken Flo with the rear naked choke. Anyway, so do you know what capgras syndrome is?
Capgras?
Yeah. All right, so I have the definition. So capgras syndrome is a rare delusional disorder where the patient believes that a familiar person, such as a spouse, family member, or friend, has been replaced by an identical imposter. Now, BJ's career was decorated, but he did absorb a lot of concussive damage. I think he lost his last 7 fights to his career, and he's posting on social media as if his mom or this woman maybe is some imposter. And it has garnered a lot of MMA headlines. And again, I'm just sharing it with you. I don't even know if you necessarily have an opinion, but a lot of people are not giving him the benefit of the doubt when it comes to maybe some delusion or lack thereof. So I don't really know if I'm bringing it up because people are suggestive that he has CTE or what, but it is sad for a lot of people to sort of see that, and people are drawing their own conclusions.
Well, absolutely. Well, CTE leads to memory loss, aggression, depression, and extreme cognitive decline. It's a degenerative brain symptoms. So it sounds like, I'm not a neurologist, but it does sound like, yeah.
So Jay mentioned the National Football League, and the UFC is a little bit different, right? There isn't anything that is collectively bargained when it comes to an agreement between the players and the promotion. But if you are an NFL retiree, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Chin, part of your knowledge and education and process is trying to maybe get to a place where all of these opiates and drugs that have all of these side effects are not necessarily the go-to, and maybe some plant-based medicine would sort of intervene and take over.
Absolutely. And I believe there's an integrative approach. It's not one size fits all. You don't have to do cannabis or nothing, or prescriptions and nothing. There is a way to see a knowledgeable health provider and combine the best of both worlds. And that's what we're trying to achieve at Leafwell.
Yeah. All right. Free medical cards for new Leafwell customers can be had at in-person events. There have been pop-ups going on all across the Sunshine State here in Florida. You can go to leafwell.com, leafwell.com/Anik to get 20% off. Dr. June Chin. So when are you next in front of students? Is it like today, later this week? What's going on? Spring break?
I just finished my Syracuse class. So we just finished 8 weeks. So I get to relax till the next semester.
Yeah, they're probably all excited about basketball right now. All right, well, we appreciate your time. We will continue to chat, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much.
Dr. June Chin with us here on the Anik Florian Podcast for the Green Corner. Don't forget, tell your friends and family about Leafwell. Use code ANIK to get 20% off leafwell.com/Anik. Now, I do remember concussion protocols when I was concussed. I guess that last time at Gettysburg College, little tiny hospital in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. They're like, you're fine. Go home. Don't you live in a fraternity house? Just go funnel a few natural ices and you'll be fine. But no, I mean, I think I was probably, using cannabis as medicine or otherwise within 72 hours of that concussion. Look at me now.
You're
right?
way ahead of your time, dude.
Way ahead of my fucking
time.
All right. When it comes
What
to
else you
college
got,
basketball,
Where are you taking it?
I'm about to read a commercial spot. Where's your hair taking anything,
Oh, to the ceiling, bro. To the ceiling.
So it's a big time for sports wagering action. It really is. It's March 17th. And when it comes to college basketball and March Mania, Cody knows what I'm talking about. One thing is for certain, nothing's for certain. Upsets, buzzer beaters, underdogs advancing, top seeds going home early. It's all going to happen, and you can bet the unexpected every upset every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. Live betting, exclusive content, promos, and parlays. DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. I have so many tickets on the board already. It's probably a little bit ill-advised. I just love betting this tournament. And if this is your first time, we got something special for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. I got a future wager on the Florida Gators to cut down the nets, but if it were me with this offer from DraftKings as a new customer, I'm betting all these first-round games, and then I'm taking a flyer on a couple teams to win it all. Bet the unexpected with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code AFPOD. That's code AFPOD for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario, new customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. All right, we'll go 4 wide again and welcome in Big Gun Brian Petrie, flexing as always. BP, how we doing?
I'm good. I got double Anix. I got Ken Flo. We got a London cod, mate. I'm ready to go, John.
And you got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase signed up.
Let's boys.
Go.
That's right. And Johnny, you seem to be in a pretty rare mood. Sometimes you're a little, let's go. You're joyous. I like this, John.
I am full of joy. I got buckets of joy today. Let me ask you this, Brian.
Yeah.
Will you be betting the NCAA basketball tournament?
I will not. No.
Okay. So do you just bet MMA?
Only MMA. Occasionally, if I get a little tickle, I'll do some over-unders in the NFL, but that's it, man. The way my brain works is if I want to be good at anything, I got to kind of focus on one thing. I can't focus on 20, so I just solely focus on MMA.
Jay, I think we should sign him to an extension. Based upon what he just
Brian?
said. Yeah. Based upon what he just said. That helps the show that he's not watching the NCAA tournament.
I'm not gonna. No.
So I'm sitting on a ticket, right? And I just happened to place this bet because I had money in my account at the time. It's bigger than my average wager. It's a $300 bet on the Florida Gators at 30-1 to win the NCAA tournament. So 300 pays 9,300, which would be the biggest score, I think, of my life. Right. As a gambler, I don't think I've had a 5-figure score, Jay. Have I? I don't think so. Oh, maybe when the Eagles beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
But anyway, you get it 30-1. What's the odds now? I mean, they are the best team in the nation. Go ahead.
So all these guys now, all these talking heads going on national television today and picking Florida to win it all. Wow. And Jay and I are just laughing, right? So
love it.
Sportsbook offers you a cash out of $1,600 right now. Brian, you cashing that ticket out, 300 to pay 1,600? You letting it ride?
Nah, I've never cashed out. I had a 7-1 parlay riding on the main event, and it wasn't as much as you're making, but it was some pretty good cheese.
Yeah.
And they offered me a cash out, and I thought about it. I went no because the last leg was my strongest take. I said I'm rocking with it. Yeah, I'm not a big cash out guy, but listen, it's out there. I know, like Barstool Big Cat, like that dude plays thousands and thousands, and there's ideas where he can cash out. I'm a small wager kind of guy, not like small. My units are a little smaller than maybe yours, but I don't know, man. I'd be thinking about it. But Florida,
we'll see what happens. All right, got a couple pronunciations of the week, and I don't know the extent to which Cody is going to font either one of these on our.
No, Jay's leaving for the pronunciation.
Oh, he hates it. Yeah, he hates it. He hates this segment.
No, just kidding. I'll hang around.
Leaving.
Let's go.
So,
two speed. Sorry.
So there came a time when DC asked me on the air, who's the Russian guy who is always hanging out with the Topurias, and
Mhm.
it's Guram Kutateladze, but I couldn't come up with the name at the time, regrettably. So that's
He's
one
Georgian.
of the pronunciations
He's
of the
Georgian,
week.
yeah.
So we have that file. But the other one, Cody, you can flip back to your initial thought because you read me perfectly, right? We have a Brazilian fighter, and I looked this up just for my own edification, and then after
Mhm.
listening to the file, I figured I had to present it to the masses. So if you are audio only, his first name is Kaue. Last name is sort of Fernandez as Americanized. Brian Petrie, how we pronouncing this individual's name?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, you know your boy's doing some tape study. So I pretty sure the first name is Kaue. And then, I mean, are they going to throw me a curveball and say not Fernandez, but Kaue Fernandez?
All right. Well, I can't wait to hear Kenny say it, but let's hear the fighter himself say this for the UFC broadcast team.
Kaue Fernandes. Kaue Fernandes.
I mean, come on, guys.
No way. No way. No way.
All right, Cody, let's hear his opponent, Guram Kutateladze, if we could.
Guram Kutateladze. Guram Kutateladze.
Yeah, just like it's spelled, guys.
Could have hit you guys with Jordan, the epidemic Vachenik, but figured we would just go with
No, well, since you're doing the pronunciation of the week, how is Fernandez pronounced on the broadcast, John? Are you pronouncing that as a J, Fernandez? And we're going to talk about last week, the accent. See, my problem
that
with
was
the pronunciation
nice,
of the
though.
week, my problem with the pronunciation of the week is it's an accent flow, as you know, versus a pronunciation. Petrie, I love your contribution of pronunciation of the week, but John gets mixed up in the minutia and becomes last weekend on the broadcast. John, what was the name?
Vallejos?
But it's like to throw the J in there feels a little arbitrary to me, Flo, rather than just going with the double L. Anyway, you can take back over.
You're right,
John.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to say this weekend? Go ahead, Brian.
No, my favorite moment between this was you guys were doing a podcast, I believe it was on Remember the Show, and Mike Valley came on, and John pronounced it Mike Valle, and Jay just lost it.
Yeah. That
was the best. All-time clip for me.
Yeah, Mike Valle's family didn't lose it. They appreciated it. This guy, loses it. So awesome. At Boston Anik if you want more, right?
Yeah.
You
want
more,
to tell everyone about when you talked to Israel Adesanya's parents and what you tried to figure out what you were going to do on broadcast? Let's go. Come on. Super fucking interesting. Oh, we're still in the pronunciation of the week.
No, we're not. We're not in the pronunciation of the week. It's the main event challenge. And I'm not going this weekend, so these names matter not to me. It's UFC Fight Night, Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. I'm really excited for this main event, but we're going to start with one prelim, and we are predicting this fight essentially because Mick Parkin has one of the longest winning streaks in the UFC heavyweight division at present. We'll start with BP.
Yeah.
Marcin Tybura -112 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Mick Parkin comes back -108. Tybura, not yet a man. He'll be 40 later this year. He is 13-8 in the UFC after a win over Janata Deniz at UFC 309 last November. Somewhat uneven bribe for Marcin Tybura in the UFC, but he hasn't lost 2 straight since 2019, trying to upend Parkin. Hear your thoughts.
Yeah, he seems to be getting better. I think a lot of his earlier losses were nerves. I really do. I think he kind of faltered under the lights, but he's got Mick Parkin, this London guy, big old boy. This dude's got a stone head, right? He comes forward a lot. He's got a great cardio base for being a bigger dude. And this is a lot. I see a theme throughout a lot of this London card where you got an experienced guy in Tybura who's been in with everybody, the up-and-coming guy who's only 10-0 in Mick Parkin. The pricing is pretty low at -108. It's essentially a pick 'em with these boys. I like Mick Parkin. I think Mick Parkin can get it done here. I think as long as he stays on top and he stays within his striking range, I don't think Tybura can clip him. I don't think Tybura can put this guy out. I think Mick can keep a pace. He's going to have the crowd behind him. And if he gets on top of Tybura, it can be interesting here. I see a decision win. I see this going over as well. But give me the old London boy. Give me the Englishman and Mick Parkin. I like it.
Does Mick Parkin have a nickname? A lot of directions you could go. Mick Double Parkin, Mick Parallel Parkin.
Let's see here.
Mick Illegally Parkin, Mick Handicap Parkin.
I'm seeing nothing. But, yeah, there's a lot you can do. Yeah. A lot.
Jay, why do you shake your head, man? You got a handicap sticker?
No, I didn't think those were good. suggestions.
Kenny Parkin's out of Sunderland, England. 10 years to Boris Jr. He's off to a 4-0 start in the UFC after a knockout of Lucas Dresky. That was last July, UFC 304. Your thoughts on the heavyweights here, if you would.
This is interesting because I think Parkin is, kind of your more orthodox fighter in his approach. Really doesn't have a whole lot of unorthodox stuff, whereas Tybura he's just a little awkward, and that can throw off guys a lot. Marcin, though, he does get hit a lot, and I think it comes down to how good his takedowns are. If Tybura is able to get on top of Parkin and do that consistently, then I think he wins this fight. I just think he's going to have trouble hitting that takedown and putting Parkin on his back throughout the fight anyway, maybe early. But I think Parkin probably will take control at some point during that fight. I think he's going to land the heavier shots. And as Brian said, the guy's got a massive head. Looks like Sputnik. Cries himself to sleep on his gargantuan pillow. Parkin wins.
That's so funny.
Good to have everybody with us live on the DraftKings YouTube channel. It is the Anik and Florian Podcast. John Anik, Kenny Florian, Brian Petrie being joined by Jason Anik today as we dive into the main card opener, at least as it stands right now on this iteration of the fight card. It's in the featherweight division. Morgan Charriere's minus 170. Nathaniel Wood plus 142. So Francis Charriere, Bry, overall winning percentage just okay. 20-10-1 as a pro, lifelong martial artist.
Mm-hmm.
Judo was his first martial art. On the other side, the Brad Pickett trained Nathaniel Wood, 8-3 in the UFC, beat Daniel Pineda last July at UFC 304. He goes for a 5th win in his last 6, but does so as a plus 142 underdog on the weekend. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised when Nathaniel Wood went up to 45. The 35 cut was too much for him. I didn't think he was that big of a dude. He's not tall, but he's pretty thick, right? And he's handled himself well at 145. He's looked fantastic. He's run into a problem, though. He's run into a big problem, and his name's Morgan Charriere. This dude is legit. You look at his record outside the UFC, it's phenomenal. He's got some wins, some great wins outside the UFC, and even the losses are ugly. Take away the 2015 year where you have 3 losses. Everyone he's lost to is elite competition, and he's not getting finished. He's losing to really good guys. He's coming to UFC. He loses to Chepe Maniscalco on a split decision, which I thought he lost the fight, but it was very close. My only nitpick with this guy is he's so dynamic. He's so explosive. He's powerful. He has good cardio. His takedown defense, which was a handicap earlier in his career, is now getting better. He just needs to let it go a little more. Just needs to let it go. Not everything has to be super pretty and super clean against Nathaniel Wood. He's primarily a boxer. He's gonna kick his legs a little bit. Maybe even want to wrestle a little bit. I think Charriere has this in the bag here. Minus 170 is a low number. I love that. If there wasn't another fighter in this card that I love even more, my 1,000 would be on Morgan Charriere. This is going to be a bet for sure for me outside of our main event challenge. I like the Frenchman here. I like Morgan Charriere.
Cadflow, Morgan Charriere minus 170, Nathaniel Wood plus 142.
I think Charriere is the real deal, and I think that his skill set is now catching up with his athleticism. I think he's going to be a problem. I love Nathaniel Wood. I think he's such a great fighter to watch, and he really has improved his game consistently over the years as well. I do think he's going to be undersized here, though, against Morgan Charriere, who, have a couple inches in height, and that could be a death sentence if he's able to find his range and find it early. Wood's got some decent power. I don't think he's going to be down on power that much here at 145. But I think the speed is where maybe he will kind of suffer a little bit. And I also think that, Nathaniel Wood does some great work when he gets on top here, but I don't see him taking down someone like Charriere. I think that this guy's takedowns, his takedown defense and his takedown offense is something to watch out for here. I'm with Brian here on Charriere. May have a little bet on him as well.
All right, next fight on the main card. Tapology says in the lightweight division, this is number 102 in the world versus number 61 in the world. Jordan the Epidemic Vachenik, minus 360. See, that's the point, right? Like, you mean to tell me, fact or fiction, Ken Flo, if Mick Parkin's nickname was Parallel, then more people would know who he is. Fact or fiction? Fact.
I like it. Fact.
Is Parallel like this, right? Meaning that if he knocks somebody out, Mick has you parallel parking. You're fucking twitching.
All right. Now I got a little juice. I hear you.
Jordan, the epidemic Vettori minus 360. Chris Duncan is plus 285. Brian, we'll start with you here. Vettori out of Corby, England, lost his 2024 UFC debut to Guram Kutateladze. Scotland's Duncan on the other side, 3-1 of the UFC. Last win came via guillotine. What do we think about Duncan here? Big number next to his name against Vettori.
Yeah, it's a loss of Vettori's name or record, but it's actually kind of a win. He dropped Guram, very close fight, coming in against a really tough guy to debut against. This guy outside the UFC, he's got split wins, split fights with Paul Hughes. Paul Hughes is over there technically beating Russians, right? I mean, he didn't, but he did. That's a legit dude, right? And Vettori, he's got all the tattoos. He's giving Andre Fili a run for the money. He's got the look. He's got the England crowd behind him. But this guy's pretty nasty on the ground. His striking is coming along, but him on top, him on your back is a problem. And Chris Duncan got submitted 2 fights ago. He is trying to learn the grappling game as well. He's more of a Scotland stand up and bang him out, but he's trying to mix in some takedowns as well. But when it goes to the ground, and it will go to the ground, I think Vettori's going to win by submission here. That is a play I'm going to play. The line is high. So the money line I won't touch, but I will touch by sub. I was hitting a lot of props last weekend. We got to stay hot, babe. You don't walk away from the table on a heater. So I'm going another sub here for Vettori for sure.
What was your best prop hit last weekend, Brian?
A 12-1 Vera sub over the dude from the Congo. I can't pronounce his name. 12-1, baby. I sent it to Kenny because he's Ryan Hall trained.
Carlos Vera, baby.
Carlos Vera. I said, Kenny, tell Ryan Hall, thank you for this sub.
Yeah. Ken Flo, Jordan, the epidemic Vettori minus 360. Chris Duncan plus 285.
See, this is a tricky one for me. I think that Vettori is going to be significantly better on the feet than Chris Duncan. I know he's been working on that and getting better. And I think that just because I think Vettori is a little bit more versatile, I think he's going to be significantly faster than Duncan. And I think Duncan probably has better takedowns. Vettori, he did good against Kutateladze in his first fight, but then kind of fell victim on the ground as well. Actually got his back taken at the end of that fight. So I was a little confused as to how good is this guy on the ground? I think he's got good ground and pound and things like that. But if he gets taken down, he could struggle against Duncan as well. So while I do see some value here on Chris Duncan, I do think I'm going to go with Vettori here. I think if he can keep it on the feet, I think he can get a good win here. But if he ends up on his back, especially early on this fight, he could struggle.
Friendly reminder, all of these odds are subject to change. We greatly appreciate our handicappers doing a deep dive for us on a Monday. This is all coming up UFC Fight Night live this Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern for the main card. Strawweight division, Alexa Tainara, minus 198, taking on Meatball Molly McCann, plus 164. That's a good meatball. After her win on the Contender Series, Tainara was asked what she wanted her UFC debut to look like. Said she was going to be training hard to put on an even better show than she put on that night. Debut comes here, and it comes, Brian, on relatively short notice, stepping in for Estela Nunes. Brazilian newcomers won 9 fights in a row, BP. Your thoughts on her here as a near 2-1 favorite against the 13-time UFC veteran Meatball Molly McCann.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me only because I love Molly McCann. I like Meatball a lot. I'm picking against her here. Tainara looks so good in Contender Series. Landed over 101 strikes. Has a lot of submissions outside the UFC. Heavy on top. Still work in progress, obviously young in the game. But I think that's the one kryptonite of Molly, and it's going to continue to be is if she gets put on the ground on her back, it's a problem. She will give up her back. She will give up submissions. We've seen it before. She is as tough as they come. She's exciting. I hope she blows the fucking roof off the joint. I just don't see it happening. Give me Tainara. It's a 2-1, which is surprising. There could be some meat on the bones there on the old meatball. But yeah, I like Tainara. I got a Jason Anik laugh right there. I'll take that.
So Molly McCann was all the rage 2021, 2022. She had won 3 in a row. Ken Flo, now she's lost 3 of 4. She's going to be 35 on May 4th. This strawweight division is absolutely ruthless, right? McCann maybe number 28 or so in the world right now. Your thoughts on her as an underdog here against Alexa Tainara?
Yeah, and I'd imagine that the UFC likes Tainara and the talent that she's bringing to that division to make it that much deeper. I think she's someone to watch. I think that overall she's going to be better than Molly McCann. Whether it's on the feet or on the ground. I think Tainara probably has this, has some good experience outside the UFC, great record at 11-1. Unless, Molly can land some big shots and maybe she's the more powerful fighter here, which is a great advantage to have. But I think Tainara, just putting together all of her skills, she's going to be better overall. So I like the Brazilian here as well.
Reminder, live Anik Florian Podcast watch party coming up this Saturday for UFC Fight Night, Edwards versus Brady. And Brian, Ken Flo, I don't know if you were listening earlier, is going to be paying off.
Oh, really?
He's not going to be cracking a beer bottle over his head because he would rather wear a gi for the entire watch party. He's also going to not wear a hat. So all the lettuce going to be flowing. He's going to be looking like fucking Vinny Del Negro. It's going to be amazing.
I'm excited.
All right.
Oh,
Featured bout at welterweight and Bry Big Gun, depending on your Saturday with your daughters and your wife and everything else. You're certainly welcome to join us for any part of that 2-hour extravaganza. All right. Featured bout at welterweight. Very interesting in terms of this betting line. Gunnar Nelson, -142. Kevin Holland, +120. This figures to draw two-way action. Nelson made his UFC debut. Ken Flo, not sure if you were there with me. I bet you were. September 29th, 2012, Nottingham, England.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I was there. Damn.
Fuel
I forget
TV.
that Kevin was on that card. Yeah.
No CTE in Flo's brain, right? Yep. You say today. Yes, I was there. Check it off. Brain
Stefan
stems.
Struve headlined against Stipe Miocic. Struve actually knocked Stipe out. And I remember Stefan Struve flying coach all 7 feet of him for his first UFC main event on Fuel TV. So, all right, Gunnar Nelson, very interesting. And Kenny, you can lead us off here for Gunny, right? 15 UFC fights across 14 years in the promotion. 10-5. He's won 2 in a row, but the last win 2 years ago, all the way back at UFC 286, March 2023, the armbar of Brian Barberina. Gunny, near -150 favorite here against Kevin Trailblazer Holland.
It's great to see Gunny back. I'm excited to see him fight. And I think this is a good fight for him. Why? Because Kevin Holland's a big name in that division. At 185 as well. He's a big name in the UFC, and he's a dangerous out. And I think this is a good fight for him to look good. And I don't think Holland looks so hot at 170 pounds. I think he actually looks or has more energy at 185 pounds. So I'm curious to see how he comes into this fight, how good his weight cut goes and all of that. He's certainly going to have the reach and length advantage. And I think if Kevin's able to get his striking going early, I like Kevin here. Kevin can land some big shots, but I think Gunny's grappling is going to be the difference. Kevin is no slouch there, but Gunny is truly elite when it comes to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. His position game, his submission game, I think might end up being a little bit too much for Kevin Holland. So it all comes down to Kevin Holland establishing that range and keeping Gunny on the outside. I just think it's going to be tough to do. So give me Gunny here. It's always tough to know how guys are going to come off of these long layoffs. Gunny tends to do this consistently. Though. So I like Nelson here though.
Yeah, I don't worry about Gunnar Nelson off of any sort of layoff. More often than not, as long as he's healthy, he is completely locked in and committed. He didn't compete at all in 2020, 2021, now 2024. On the other side, Bri, what a huge spot for Kevin Holland. And Jay, I'd like to get some thoughts from you on this on the back end as well, right? Kevin Holland just massively disappointed by his own admission in that fight against Reinier de Ridder, getting submitted in short order there at UFC 311 earlier this year. He has lost 4 of 5, now back to welterweight. Second fight in a 10-week span for the ever-active Kevin Holland. BP, go ahead.
Yeah, you got the most active guy in the UFC versus maybe the least most active guy in the UFC. Gunnar Nelson just chills and goes, oh, you want me to fight? Cool. Whatever. I'll do it. Kevin Holland, I usually agree with Kenny, but I don't know about him looking better at 185 because he just got thumped at 185 by 2 massive dudes on the ground. Dolidze put him out and de Ridder just choked him out. And that's the thing here is the Kevin Holland plus money screaming my name. He can land a body kick. He can land something on the feet and put Gunny out. We've seen Gunny get dropped before. He's usually pretty solid on the feet. It's not like he's chinny, but we've seen him get put down before, and Kevin's nasty on the feet. However, Gunny's takedowns are better than people expect, and he flows on top great. His top pressure is really, really good. He doesn't have to hunt for submissions to keep you down there. His ground and pound's okay, but I like him on top, and I think he's going to smother Kevin Holland, even though he will be the undersized guy here because Gunnar Nelson's not the biggest 170. I think he should be fighting at 155 his whole career. Now it might be a little too late because he's in his late 30s. Yeah. However, I like Gunnar Nelson. Low number, -142. I'll take that. I'll take him by submission as well. Maybe the first or second round. We'll see how that plays out. But, yeah, give me Gunny.
Jay, I know we were talking this morning. A lot of people are going to be looking at that submission prop, I would think, for Gunnar Nelson. Any thoughts on this featured bout before we move forward?
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Holland has often said as much that he kind of prioritizes appearances over wins. I hate to say it. I like him better at 85 as well. I think he will have a size advantage. But yeah, I mean, I envision perhaps him on his back on the canvas, collecting what 100,000 or whatever it is to show and running his mouth a little bit. I don't bet MMA, but he's a guy that I can't bet on, Kevin Holland. One where I enjoy watching him fight. Never know what I'm going to get. But I tend to root for his opponents that maybe are chasing something that he's not.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, the championship aspiration is not a part of the rhetoric leading into a Kevin Holland fight. I can assure you he makes more than $100,000 to show. And he sells tickets too. Right. He really does. Yeah. All right. Big things at light heavyweight, Ken Flo, in the co-main event. Carlos Ulberg, minus 245. Jan Blachowicz, plus 200. Blachowicz, the former UFC light heavyweight champion. Just one fight, though, since the draw against the now champion Magomed Ankalaev. That one fight, a split decision loss to the now former champion Alex Poatan Pereira. That was UFC 291 in 2023. Blachowicz, Ken Flo, shoulder surgery, misses all of 2024. Was to face Alexander Rakic January last year, UFC 297. Now he returns against a guy who has not lost in a long time in Carlos Ulberg. Who do you have in the co-main, Ken Flo?
Extremely interesting fight, and we're going to find out if Carlos Ulberg is the real deal or not. You get a win over someone like Blachowicz, then you absolutely are that. Now, can he get it done? Yeah, I think he can. I think he's, his athleticism really stands out to me, his speed, his power, and I think he's gaining a lot more composure and experience as he goes along. And I do think he can be a star in this division. And while Blachowicz is 42 years old, you can't compare the resume. I mean, let's look at the last four fights for each guy. And obviously, Ulberg 4-0, faced Oezdemir, Menefield, Young, Potieria, and then for Blachowicz, Pereira, Ankalaev, Rakic, Teixeira, and even those couple of those losses, super close fights. I mean, the one against Ankalaev, which was a draw. Who's the champ right now? Ankalaev. And, it'd be one thing if I was like looking at Blachowicz, who really doesn't stay active, but he does. And I think we're going to finally see him healthy here. Just had double shoulder surgery. And while you're like, Kenny, you're crazy. That's a lot of, wear and tear on the body right there. But I actually think we're going to see him healthy. I think he's been fighting with those injuries for a long time. I think he's going to come in here fresh. I think he's had the time to figure out whether he wants to continue doing this or not. He does. He's coming back. And I think we're going to see him in fine form. And I like him for the upset win here.
I like the handicap there. Blachowicz did just turn 42. Carlos Ulberg is 34. Strength of schedule, Bri, for Carlos Ulberg does leave a lot to be desired leading up to that win over Volkan Oezdemir. It has been a productive 5 years for the City Kickboxing product since he came off of Dana White's Contender Series. But overall, Kenny highlights the strength of schedule, and rightfully so. It's not even comparable. You seeing that value on Blachowicz plus 200 or so, Bri, or are you going the other way?
Of course I am. Kenny's too smart. I mean, this dude, he went first. I was like, oh, he's gonna maybe go Ulberg here, but no, he went Blachowicz. I agree. I mean, I'm usually Leo DiCaprio, right? I like him young, right? You know what I mean? I like the young ones. But on this fight, I think Blachowicz coming off surgery, I think he's going to be healthy. And I think the one thing about Ulberg that we've never questioned, or we haven't seen yet, is his ground game. What does he look like off his back? Because Blachowicz is a big-bodied, wide-back dude who has some good takedowns, and he's heavy on top. And he's got a chin for days as well. I mean, he's only been put out by Thiago Santos, and he ran into that punch. But he took some 70-plus shots by Poatan and didn't go down. So this guy's got chin regardless of him being 40, has that Polish power, but I think the power is going to be used in the grappling realm because I don't think he really wants to play too much with Ulberg on the feet. And, Ulberg has 12 fights and Blachowicz has 40. This will be his 41st fight. So I like Blachowicz too, plus 200 screaming at me. Kenny and I are eye to eye, bub.
And I think they're moving the line. I think those guys are going to move the line there. Blachowicz, that fight versus Ankalaev, that draw, I enjoyed that more than most. And I know some people say, Ulberg, Ankalaev title fight, or may not have an appetite for that. I, for one, would love nothing more than Blachowicz, even at that advanced age, to get a shot again at Ankalaev, because I love that matchup of big men. I think they offset each other a lot that night. So, 2-1. We'll see.
Yeah. Don't sleep on Jan Blachowicz, 42 years of age. Carlos Ulberg has won 7 in a row to reach this title eliminator. We'll see what he can do with it, but he is the favorite, perhaps prohibitively, this weekend in the co-main event. All right, welterweight main event. Sean Brady, -148. Leon Edwards, +124. Bri Edwards back for the first time since losing his title to Bilal Muhammad. Brady has now won 2 straight since his 2022 stoppage loss to Muhammad. Last win for Sean Brady, a 5-round main event unanimous decision nod that came against Gilbert Durinho Burns last September. Had submitted Kelvin Gastelum nicely with a Kimura prior. Huge fight for Sean Brady against the former champion Leon Edwards. Brian Petrie, who do you love?
Yeah, I like this fight. I love this fight, and I got a strong take. Maybe not a strong take, strong lean. Leon Edwards has done it all, right? The guy fought for the UFC forever, went on this undefeated streak, and demanded a title shot, never really got it. Headshot, bang, historic, a fight he was down, rematches Kamaru, wins, close fight, goes out there, beats Colby. So he's got the title, he's got the defenses, right? And then Bilal got him, Bully B bullied him around. What are you going to do, right? Problem is I call this the Johnny Hendricks syndrome. Johnny Hendricks, he made it there. He called for GSP, he made it there. And he fell off a cliff. I don't think Leon is cut from that cloth to steal it from Johnny Anik. But I just don't know if the fire, the burn is there against a guy like Sean Brady, who is a motherfucker to get out there. He fights a lot like Bilal. That's why I think people don't give Bilal enough credit for that win. Sean Brady is a really good dude. He's grappling with Craig Jones outside the UFC. That's no easy task. Like, this dude is legit, and he's landed multiple takedowns in every fight except the Bilal fight. Like, this guy is that good. A little underrated because I feel like he pulls out of fights quite a bit. We don't see him enough. He's not as active, but I see him tossing Leon Edwards around here. I think it's going to be 50-45, and if I'm really put money on it, I think Sean Brady is going to get Leon Edwards out of there. The only man to do it in his career. I think he's going to get Leon Edwards to get submitted by Sean Brady. Give me Sean Brady, baby.
Sean Brady's back is like 6 yards wide.
Woo!
You talk about Jan Blachowicz with that big back, right? So Leon Edwards, Ken Flo, is still only 33. He did go from December 2015 to July 2024 without a loss. And now he's the underdog to lose 2 fights in a row. I think the championship hunger is still there. I can't suggest to you there's a reason why Leon kind of disappears and is out of sight, out of mind when he's not competing. I'm not sure even if he's watching the UFC. But I think Leon is very much going to be competitive this weekend. The big issue might just be the opponent, Sean Brady. What do you have for us on the main event, Ken?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting take that Brian has. And in going back and checking out some of the training footage for Leon Edwards, not Leon Thomas, Ray Longo, and seeing how he was preparing for camp, I got to say, Brian, that kind of came into my mind a little bit. Like, what kind of fire does he have? Now, he's a pretty reserved and composed guy. There's that too. But I was asking myself that same question. Sometimes you have this kind of high from being a champion, and then kind of you lose it, and maybe you'd never come back. Is that going to be the case for Leon Edwards? I'm not sure. But if I'm looking at the fight itself, as far as their skills, Sean Brady can win this fight. How does he win this fight? I'm not sure his wrestling is necessarily going to be the issue here, just because I think Bilal puts it together a little bit better than Sean Brady when it comes to the takedowns. And I think that was evident in the fight against Gilbert Burns to me. And now Sean Brady could come in and look way sharper even still. What Sean Brady showed in the fight against Gilbert Burns, though, is that he can go 5 hard rounds. He knows how to make adjustments. He knows how to come back and win the rounds when it counts. That is huge. What I need to see from him, though, in this fight, I think it all comes down to volume. Leon Edwards doesn't throw a lot. He's very meticulous, thoughtful fighter when he's out there, but he doesn't throw a whole lot. He wants to make each strike count, and he kind of is a little bit of perfectionist, and maybe gets caught up kind of like how I did of paralysis through analysis. That can't be the case here. He's got to be able to throw volume. He's got to be confident, with his takedown defense and with his combinations. That's how he wins this fight here against Sean Brady. He's got to throw more, and he's got to be more evasive. And Sean Brady can win with his pressure and his volume. I'm going to go with Leon Edwards here. I do think that his hunger will most likely still be there. I think he's still 1 fight away from getting a championship shot, that rematch against Bilal Muhammad. I like Edwards here. Is it strong enough where I'm going to throw a bet on it? Not sure.
Find out in 60 seconds. Jay, do you have a tie-breaking selection?
I just want to say one thing, right? It's like Leon Edwards. Hey, Leon, it's Sean Shelby. Hey, how are you? Jack Della Maddalena is going to fight for the belt in Montreal, so we got a new opponent for you. Same first name as me, Sean Brady. If I'm Leon Edwards, I'm like, oh God, right? I'm just being honest. And Flo, you picking Leon Edwards, I like that, right? Leon Edwards did have some moments on the ground, dare I say, against Bilal Muhammad. So certainly I think he can scramble a little bit down there if he gets there. But that change of opponent, I think, is a huge disadvantage for Leon Edwards. I love Sean Brady in this spot. Had a chance to talk to Dean Thomas, who spent a lot of time with Sean Brady. I think Sean Brady could be the most dangerous, perhaps, guy for Bilal Muhammad, even though I think Bilal has advantages over everybody, really, in most places where the fights could go. But I would lean Brady here because I just think the matchup for Leon is not good.
Mm-hmm. Interesting take from a man who's pretty close to it. I think people just sometimes lose sight of how good Leon is in all phases of the game. You know, he was able to reverse Muhammad, cut him open there with an elbow. We'll see how it goes. Leon Edwards right now, the underdog, plus 124 or so here early in fight week on DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, final order of business. Place your bets. Presented by KennyFlorian.com and JohnAnik.com, where you can support the show with our exclusive Anik and Florian podcast and One More Sleep apparel. Use code One More Sleep for a discount at checkout.
We'll be watching these fights together, by the way. Petrie, figure it out. Babysitter, make it happen. John and I don't drink a lot. We will be drinking a lot Saturday night. Maybe we'll get Flo to sip a little bit.
Hey, you know what I'm going to be drinking? You know what I'm going to be drinking?
John's got some bottles right behind him.
It better be Cuervo, right?
Well,
Cuervo.
if I was drinking tequila, I would drink the tequila that invented tequila, but this is my new tickle right now. It's that
What do you got there? What is that?
It's that Hendrix gin tickle.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I got Bombay Sapphire up there in case Bruce Buffer wants to come over. But the Hendrix, you know, for us sophisticated lot.
Sure.
Hey, Bri, $1,000. Place your bets. UFC Fight Night, Edwards v. Brady. Who do you like?
Just sorry I got distracted there. You know, when your boy used to drink, I made a lot of bad decisions on some gin and tonics. So good choice there. Johnny, listen. Shout out Fighting Nerds. I got this dope Fighting Nerds shirt.
Oh, look at
that
that
out there. This just came in the mail right now, but I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to keep it sweet. Your boy hit 2 out of 3 dogs last week. I'm very happy about that. Thought I don't know if Holloway got robbed, but it wasn't 30-27. That judge needs to be suspended. Anyway, Sean Brady, 1K.
Whoa!
I figured you were going to do that.
Sean Brady, I'm so confident.
Wager.
It's a weird feeling I got.
Dang.
I just think he's going to be a step ahead, and I really do think this kid's a problem here. All day. And then on my personal money, I will be betting submission as well, which I hope to be a great number because Leon's never been finished. So we're looking at hopefully at least 5-1 on that.
Yeah.
Dang.
So, all right. Sean Brady minus 148, the $1,000 straight wager. Petrie, you got any idea how much you're down right now? I've been a little bit delinquent when it comes to updating the standings.
Yeah, so I believe Cody was doing some funky math with the things. It kind of distracted me because he was adding what you placed in the on instead of the winnings.
I couldn't follow it either.
Right, so I have to really sit down because I was like, you know, I'm gonna let Cody figure it out, and I didn't really butt my heads. But I tell you what, I was down 4,500, I believe, before March 8th, and I think if my calculations are correct, this is just off the top of my head, I think I'm like 2,700 down right now.
It's not off the top of his head, by the way. That's like an accurate shit. Right? Like, just off the top of my head.
Nope. And track it.
We'll dissect it. Yeah.
Ken Flo, it's been a good 2025 for you. We're going to need your bets for UFC Fight Night, Edwards versus Brady.
So far, kid. All right. Well, let's 300 on Charriere. Charriere. And we're going to do $600 on
300 on who?
Charriere.
Okay.
The Frenchman, Bri.
Oh,
I pronounced it perfectly.
Okay. Yeah, 100% did, bud.
Yeah. $600 on Nelson. Gunny Nelson.
Yeah.
And then I got $100 left. I'm just going to throw that on Blachowicz. Let's go.
Smart man.
And John, I'm going to tail these guys. I'm going to put $1,000 on Charriere because I think they both like that fight a good amount, even though I know you guys like Nathaniel Wood as a dude and a fighter. But whole thing on Charriere for me because I think these guys are going to move that line.
All right. You guys get me an updated figure.
Yeah.
And I will handle the mathematics here too for.
Gotcha.
All right. Brian Petrie, MMA Takes Podcast at Brian Petrie MMA, potentially will join us for part of that watch party coming up this weekend, right?
Figure it out.
My man.
See ya, boys. I'll see
Later.
you Saturday.
Saturday it is.
He's in.
Main card, 4 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN Plus. I would like to thank Dr. June Chin. Hopefully she doesn't think I am too much of a lunatic, but my kids think I'm crazy too, and you need a little crazy. Thanks to Dr. June Chin. Thanks to Ray Longo, the real lunatic on this program. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the Kenny Florian seminar up there, and hopefully our guy Steve Lee will repurpose some of that content as the week rolls on. Our fine producer, Cody Merrow, maybe an English guy and not a math guy, but we absolutely love him. Thanks to Boston Anik for putting it all together for Ken Flo. I'm John Anik. We will see you live for our watch party on YouTube, Anik and Florian Podcast YouTube channel this Saturday around 4:35 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget to download the John Anik app. We'll talk to you guys in a few days. Until then, yo, fucking later.
I love this shit.